Good morning, everyone. Today I want to challenge you. I want to ask you to break free from the ordinary, to reject the standard way of thinking, and to embrace your own unique perspective. Too often we follow the crowd because it's comfortable. We think like everyone else because it's safe. But history has shown us that the people who changed the world, the innovators, the leaders, the revolutionaries, never thought like everyone else, not from the moment we are born. We are conditioned to follow the rules of society. We are taught how to behave, what to believe, and even what success should look like. This conditioning starts in childhood when we learn to fit into groups, follow instructions, and seek approval from parents, teachers, and peers. The more we conform, the more we are rewarded. This early experience makes it difficult for most people to step outside the crowd because they fear losing the validation they have always received. Human nature is wired for survival, and for thousands of years, survival meant staying with the group. In ancient times, being part of a tribe was essential. Those who strayed too far risked danger, starvation, or isolation. This instinct still lingers in modern society, where being different can make people feel vulnerable. Instead of lions or harsh climates, today's threats come in the form of criticism, rejection, or failure. As a result, many people choose to think and act like everyone else to avoid discomfort. The education system reinforces this mindset. Schools are designed to create disciplined individuals who can function within the established system. Creativity, independent thinking, and questioning authority are often discouraged. Students who challenge the norm are labeled as troublemakers, while those who follow instructions without question are praised. Over time, this teaches young minds that blending in is safer than standing out. Social media amplifies the pressure to conform. People see carefully curated versions of others' lives, and without realizing it, they begin to adopt the same aspirations, opinions, and even lifestyles. The fear of missing out, FOMO, pushes individuals to follow trends, even if those trends do not align with their true desires. As a result, thinking differently becomes harder because there is an overwhelming desire to fit in. Another reason people follow the crowd is that independent thinking requires effort. It is easy to accept what others believe and follow established patterns. However, questioning, analyzing, and forming one's own opinions demand mental energy and courage. Many people avoid this challenge because it is much simpler to let someone else do the thinking for them. This is why propaganda, advertising, and social influence have such a strong effect. They take advantage of people's natural tendency to go with the flow. Fear of failure also plays a significant role in why people hesitate to break away from the norm. Society often shames those who make mistakes, creating a culture where failure is seen as something to avoid rather than a necessary part of growth. When someone takes a different path and fails, they face judgment. Meanwhile, those who follow the crowd may never reach great success, but they also never face the fear of public failure. This safety net keeps many people from thinking outside the box. Another powerful influence is authority. From governments to corporations, those in power benefit when people think alike. It makes managing societies, businesses, and institutions easier when people follow without question. This is why many leaders throughout history have used fear, tradition, and control to maintain conformity. The less people think for themselves, the more predictable and controllable they become. People also fear loneliness. Thinking differently can lead to social isolation, as not everyone will understand or support an unconventional mindset. It can be discouraging to walk a path where few others are willing to go. The human desire for connection and belonging often outweighs the desire for individuality. As a result, many people choose to suppress their unique thoughts in exchange for acceptance. Ultimately, most people follow the crowd because it feels safe, comfortable, and familiar. Breaking away requires the courage to face uncertainty, criticism, and even failure. It means embracing discomfort in exchange for growth. But while following the crowd may seem like the easier path, it often leads to mediocrity, because true greatness is never found in simply blending. Every major advancement in human history has come from individuals who dared to think differently. If everyone accepted things as they were, civilization would never evolve. From the invention of the wheel to the creation of artificial intelligence, progress has always depended on people who questioned the status quo and explored new possibilities. The greatest thinkers, inventors, and leaders throughout history all had one thing in common: they refused to think like everyone else. Innovation starts with curiosity. People who think differently do not simply accept things as they are, they ask why. Why do things work the way they do? Why is something done a certain way? Could there be a better way? This curiosity leads to breakthroughs because it forces individuals to challenge existing systems and discover alternatives that others overlook. Albert Einstein, for example, did not accept the traditional understanding of physics. His relentless questioning led to the theory of relativity, which revolutionized science. The world rewards innovation, but it does not always welcome it at first. History is filled with stories of people who were ridiculed for their ideas only to be celebrated later. When the Wright brothers claimed they could build a flying machine, many laughed at them. When Galileo supported the idea that the earth revolved around the sun, he was imprisoned. Yet, without these visionaries, the world would be a very different place. Those who think differently often face resistance, but their persistence leads to change. Thinking differently is not just about inventing new technology, it is about approaching every aspect of life with a fresh perspective. Businesses that disrupt industries like Apple, Amazon, or Tesla succeed because they refuse to follow traditional models. Instead of asking, "How has it always been done?" they ask, "How can we do it better?" This mindset has led to the creation of smartphones, online shopping, and electric vehicles, things that were once unimaginable but are now an essential part of modern life. Creativity thrives in those who refuse to think like the masses. The most successful artists, writers, and musicians did not follow formulas, they created their own. Vincent van Gogh, for example, painted in a style that was not popular during his time. He was dismissed as an eccentric, yet today his works are among the most celebrated in history. The same is true for musicians like Beethoven and innovators like Steve Jobs. Their refusal to conform allowed them to create something unique. Many of the world's greatest solutions have come from people who approach problems differently. Medical breakthroughs such as vaccines and life-saving treatments exist because scientists refuse to accept limitations. The same applies to social change leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela thought differently about justice and equality, challenging systems that had been in place for generations. Their ideas were met with resistance, but they ultimately changed the course of history. Thinking differently does not mean rejecting everything traditional. It means being open to new possibilities. Many people assume that being different means being rebellious for the sake of it. But that is not true. The goal is not to oppose everything, it is to find new ways to improve the world. Sometimes old ideas work, and sometimes they need to be replaced. The key is to approach life with a mindset that values innovation over blind acceptance. The ability to think differently is not limited to a select few, it is something anyone can develop. It starts with challenging assumptions, embracing curiosity, and daring to take risks. People who think differently are not necessarily born smarter or more talented. They are simply willing to step outside of what is comfortable. They are not afraid to fail because they understand that failure is part of the process of discovery and progress. Without different thinkers, the world would remain stagnant. Every convenience we enjoy today, from electricity to the internet, exists because someone dared to challenge conventional thinking. Progress does not come from those who follow, it comes from those who lead. The future belongs to those who are willing to question, imagine, and create something new. Throughout history, the individuals who have left the greatest impact on the world were those who refused to think like the majority. They did not accept things as they were, nor did they follow the conventional wisdom of their time. Instead, they questioned, challenged, and redefined what was possible. From scientists and inventors to entrepreneurs and social leaders, these extraordinary individuals shaped the world by thinking differently. One of the most famous examples is Thomas Edison. When he set out to invent the electric light bulb, many believed it was impossible. Scientists and engineers before him had tried and failed, and society had accepted that artificial lighting would never be more than gas lamps. But Edison refused to accept limitations. He conducted thousands of experiments, facing failure after failure, until he finally succeeded. His persistence and refusal to think like others led to one of the greatest inventions in history. Another revolutionary thinker was Albert Einstein. In a time when most scientists followed Newtonian physics, Einstein imagined a universe governed by entirely new principles. His theory of relativity challenged everything that was previously accepted, changing our understanding of space, time, and gravity. If Einstein had thought like everyone else, he would have accepted the old models of physics and never made the discoveries that changed science forever. In the business world, Steve Jobs redefined technology and communication by thinking differently. While other companies focused on improving existing computers, Jobs envisioned a future where technology was personal, intuitive, and beautifully designed. His vision led to the creation of the iPhone, iPad, and Mac, revolutionizing how people interact with technology. Jobs famously said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." And he proved it through his work. Social progress has also been driven by leaders who refuse to think like everyone else. Martin Luther King Jr. lived in a time when racial segregation was widely accepted, and many believed that change was impossible. But he refused to conform to that mindset. Instead, he imagined a future of equality and justice, inspiring millions to fight for civil rights. His willingness to think differently led to groundbreaking change in society. The same can be said for Mahatma Gandhi. At a time when most people believed that violence was the only way to achieve political change, Gandhi introduced the idea of nonviolent resistance. His approach was considered radical and unrealistic by many, but he proved that peaceful protest could be a powerful tool for revolution. His leadership led to India's independence and inspired civil rights movements worldwide. Elon Musk is another example of a modern innovator who refuses to think like the rest of the world. When he started Tesla, most people doubted that electric cars could ever replace gasoline-powered vehicles. Major car companies ignored the idea, believing there was no market for them. But Musk saw a different future, one where sustainable energy and innovation could transform transportation. Today, Tesla has changed the auto industry and made electric cars mainstream. History shows that great leaders and inventors often face resistance. When they introduce new ideas, the majority usually dismisses them as unrealistic or impossible. However, those who dare to think differently push forward despite criticism. They understand that true progress requires challenging the norm, even if it means standing alone at first. If every great thinker had simply followed the crowd, the world would never have evolved. Innovation, progress, and change come from those who dare to imagine something different, even when the world tells them it cannot be done. Leaders and inventors shape the future not by thinking like everyone else, but by having the courage to believe in their own vision. History has repeatedly shown that when a new idea challenges the status quo, society is quick to reject it. Whether it is a scientific breakthrough, a technological innovation, or a shift in social beliefs, people often respond with skepticism, fear, or even ridicule. This is because most people are comfortable with what they already know, and anything that disrupts their understanding of the world feels like a threat. New ideas are rarely welcomed with open arms. They are usually met with doubt and opposition before they are accepted. A perfect example of this is the Wright brothers. Before their successful flight in 1903, the idea of human-powered flight was considered a fantasy. Scientists, engineers, and even newspapers dismissed their efforts, calling them foolish dreamers. The public laughed at the idea that a machine heavier than air could stay in the sky. Yet today, air travel is one of the most common and essential parts of modern life. What was once ridiculed is now taken for granted. Galileo Galilei faced similar resistance when he supported the idea that the earth revolves around the sun. At the time, the widely accepted belief supported by the church and most scholars was that the earth was the center of the universe. Galileo's observations proved otherwise, but instead of being celebrated, he was put on trial for heresy and forced to retract his findings. His ideas were mocked, banned, and suppressed for years. Yet, today, his discoveries are fundamental truths in science. The same pattern can be seen in the early days of electricity. When Benjamin Franklin and later Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison experimented with harnessing electrical energy, many people thought it was dangerous, unnecessary, or even unnatural. In fact, when electric streetlights were first introduced, some feared they would harm people's eyesight or even anger the gods. However, as the benefits became undeniable, electricity became one of the most crucial advancements in human history. Even in the medical field, groundbreaking discoveries were initially rejected. When Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis proposed that doctors should wash their hands before surgery to prevent infections, his idea was ridiculed. Many physicians at the time felt insulted, believing that their hands could not possibly be carrying harmful germs. Semmelweis faced opposition throughout his career, but his discovery later became the foundation of modern hygiene and saved countless lives. The ridicule of new ideas is not limited to science and technology, it extends to social progress as well. When women began fighting for the right to vote, many people, including other women, mocked the idea. Society believed that women were too emotional or incapable of making political decisions. The suffragists were laughed at, jailed, and even physically attacked. However, their persistence led to the recognition of women's rights in many parts of the world, proving once again that society often rejects what it does not yet understand. The pattern continues in the business world. When Jeff Bezos founded Amazon, many critics mocked the idea of an online bookstore. Investors doubted that people would ever prefer to shop online rather than in physical stores. Today, Amazon is one of the largest companies in the world, dominating e-commerce and proving that the early skepticism was misplaced. Similarly, when Netflix first introduced streaming services, many laughed at the idea that people would prefer to watch movies over the internet instead of renting DVDs. Now, streaming is the norm, and traditional video rental stores have disappeared. One reason society mocks new ideas is that people are naturally resistant to change. They prefer what is familiar and predictable, and anything that threatens that stability is seen as dangerous. This is why many great innovators and leaders had to endure criticism before their ideas were accepted. The world initially rejects what it does not understand, only to later embrace it when it becomes undeniable. Despite the initial doubt and ridicule, history proves that the boldest ideas, the ones that challenge existing beliefs, are often the ones that shape the future. Whether in science, technology, business, or social change, progress is made by those who dare to push beyond what society thinks is possible. Every significant advancement in human history can be traced back to a single idea, an idea that was different from what everyone else believed at the time. Progress is not made by those who accept things as they are, but by those who dare to question, challenge, and imagine new possibilities. The world we live in today is built upon the courage of individuals who refuse to think like the majority and instead pursued ideas that seemed impossible. One of the earliest breakthroughs in human history was the discovery of fire. Imagine the first person who saw a lightning strike create flames and thought, what if we could control this? At the time, fire was seen as a destructive force, something to be feared. But instead of avoiding it, early humans experimented with it, eventually learning how to create and use fire for warmth, cooking, and protection. This simple shift in thinking changed the course of human civilization forever. Centuries later, another breakthrough reshaped human understanding, the realization that the earth was not flat. For most of history, people believed that the earth was a flat surface, and anyone who suggested otherwise was dismissed as foolish or even dangerous. Yet, thinkers like Pythagoras, Aristotle, and later Ferdinand Magellan and Christopher Columbus challenged this idea. Their willingness to explore and seek evidence led to the acceptance of a spherical earth, changing navigation and exploration forever. The Industrial Revolution was another era defined by breakthroughs in thinking. Before machines took over manufacturing, people relied on manual labor to produce goods. Then came inventors like James Watt, who improved the steam engine, and Henry Ford, who introduced assembly line production. These individuals saw inefficiencies in traditional methods and imagined a different way of doing things. As a result, industries transformed, economies grew, and the way people worked and lived changed forever. Medical advancements also owe their existence to those who thought differently. For centuries, diseases were thought to be caused by bad air or supernatural forces. Then came scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch, who introduced the germ theory of disease. This breakthrough led to vaccines, antibiotics, and modern sanitation practices, saving millions of lives. At first, their ideas were met with skepticism, but their persistence proved that thinking differently leads to solutions that benefit all of humanity. Space exploration is another field shaped by unconventional thinkers. For thousands of years, humans looked up at the stars, believing space travel was impossible. Then, visionaries like Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, Wernher von Braun, and later scientists imagined a reality where humans could leave Earth. Their ideas led to the first moon landing in 1969, proving that even the most unimaginable goals can be achieved when people dare to think differently. Today, companies like SpaceX continue to push boundaries, exploring the possibility of life on other planets. Even in the digital age, breakthroughs continue to emerge from those who refuse to follow conventional thinking. The Internet, which has revolutionized communication, business, and education, was once thought to be unnecessary. People doubted that computers would ever become a household necessity. Yet visionaries like Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the World Wide Web, saw a future where information could be shared instantly across the world. Today, we cannot imagine life without the Internet. Breakthroughs are not limited to science and technology, they happen in social movements as well. The abolition of slavery, the fight for civil rights, and the push for gender equality all began with individuals who thought differently about justice and human rights. Leaders like Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, and Malala Yousafzai refused to accept oppression as the norm. Their courage to challenge deeply ingrained beliefs led to fundamental changes in society. From the simplest discoveries to the most complex innovations, history proves that every major breakthrough started with someone who dared to think differently. These individuals were not content with the world as it was. They envisioned something better and had the determination to pursue it, even when others doubted them. Thinking differently is not just a trait of geniuses, it is the driving force behind all progress and transformation. One of the biggest obstacles to innovation and self-expression is the fear of judgment. Many people have unique ideas, creative visions, or unconventional perspectives, but they hesitate to share them because they worry about how others will react. This fear holds countless individuals back from pursuing their dreams, taking risks, or bringing new ideas into the world. The need for approval and the fear of criticism often silence people before they even have a chance to try. From a young age, society conditions people to seek acceptance. Children are taught to follow rules, fit in, and avoid standing out too much. While social harmony is important, this conditioning can make people afraid of expressing themselves if their thoughts differ from the norm. In school, students who ask unusual questions or propose different ways of thinking are sometimes ridiculed or dismissed. Over time, they learn to suppress their originality to avoid judgment, leading to a culture where conformity is valued over creativity. The fear of judgment becomes even stronger in adulthood. In workplaces, employees may hesitate to propose new ideas because they fear their bosses or colleagues will reject them. Many professionals hold back from pursuing entrepreneurial ventures because they worry about failing in public or being labeled as unrealistic. Even in creative fields like art, music, and writing, individuals often hesitate to share their work because they are afraid of criticism. This fear prevents people from reaching their full potential and contributing something unique to the world. History has shown that even the most successful innovators and leaders face judgment and skepticism. When the first automobiles were introduced, many people mocked the idea, calling them horseless carriages that would never replace horses. When the first telephone was invented, critics doubted its usefulness. Yet the individuals behind these ideas pushed forward despite the negative opinions of others. If they had let fear of judgment stop them, the world would not have the technological advancements it enjoys today. Social media has amplified the fear of judgment even more. In today's world, people are constantly exposed to the opinions of others, often facing immediate criticism for anything they say or do. This environment can make people even more hesitant to share their thoughts, fearing backlash or ridicule. The pressure to be liked and accepted online has made many individuals reluctant to express their true selves, opting instead to follow trends and popular opinions rather than stand out with original ideas. Fear of judgment does not just affect individuals, it can slow down societal progress. Many social movements, such as the fight for civil rights, gender equality, and land rights, initially faced harsh criticism. People who advocated for change were often ridiculed, ostracized, or even punished. However, those who overcame the fear of judgment and spoke up for what they believed in paved the way for progress. Their courage to stand by their convictions despite opposition changed the world for the better. Overcoming the fear of judgment requires a shift in mindset. Instead of seeking approval from everyone, individuals must recognize that judgment is inevitable. No matter what one does, there will always be people who disagree or criticize. The most successful people in history did not succeed because everyone supported them. They succeeded because they believed in their vision and persisted despite doubt and negativity. Self-confidence plays a crucial role in overcoming this fear. When individuals trust in their ideas and abilities, they become less dependent on external validation. Surrounding oneself with supportive people, focusing on personal growth, and developing resilience against criticism can help build the courage needed to embrace unique ideas. Those who learn to overcome the fear of judgment often discover that the world is more open to new ideas than they initially thought. If more people ignored the fear of judgment and embraced their unique ideas, the world would be filled with more innovation, creativity, and progress. The greatest minds in history did not let criticism stop them. They pushed forward despite it. Those who dare to think differently and express themselves freely are the ones who shape the future. Success is rarely achieved by simply following the path that everyone else takes. Throughout history, the most influential people, the ones who changed industries, advanced science, and reshaped societies, were those who dared to question the norm. They refused to accept things as they were and instead sought out new possibilities. True success comes not from blindly following established rules, but from challenging them, pushing beyond limitations, and redefining what is possible. One of the most famous examples of questioning the norm is Albert Einstein. When he introduced the theory of relativity, it completely contradicted the widely accepted Newtonian physics that had been the foundation of science for centuries. Many scientists initially dismissed his ideas as radical and unrealistic. However, Einstein's willingness to push the boundaries of scientific understanding led to groundbreaking discoveries that reshaped the way we see the universe. If he had accepted the norm instead of questioning it, modern physics would not be what it is today. The business world also proves that questioning the norm leads to massive success. When Henry Ford introduced the assembly line, many in the automobile industry believed it was an impractical approach. At the time, cars were handcrafted, making them expensive and out of reach for the average person. Ford's innovation revolutionized production, lowering costs and making automobiles accessible to millions. His refusal to accept traditional manufacturing methods changed the transportation industry forever. Similarly, Steve Jobs built Apple by rejecting conventional thinking. When other technology companies focused on improving existing products, Jobs envisioned a world where technology was not just functional, but also beautifully designed and intuitive. His ability to push the boundaries of user experience and design led to the creation of revolutionary products like the iPhone, which transformed the way people communicate and interact with technology. Had Jobs followed the same path as other tech companies, Apple would never have become the industry leader it is today. Scientific and medical advancements also depend on those who challenge accepted beliefs. Centuries ago, people believed that sickness was caused by bad air or supernatural forces. When scientists like Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister introduced the idea that germs cause disease, they faced strong resistance from the medical community. However, their persistence led to discoveries that revolutionized medicine, leading to vaccines, sterilization techniques, and a better understanding of how to prevent illness. Their willingness to question old beliefs saved countless lives. Social progress has also been driven by individuals who refuse to accept outdated norms. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela fought against deeply rooted systems of discrimination and oppression. Many people at the time told them that change was impossible or that they were being too ambitious. Yet, by questioning unjust laws and pushing the boundaries of what society deemed acceptable, they helped create a more just and equal world. Their success came from their refusal to accept things as they were. Innovation often comes from pushing beyond what is considered possible. When Elon Musk announced his vision for reusable rockets and interplanetary travel, many experts in the aerospace industry doubted him. They believed that space travel was too costly and that rockets could not be reused efficiently. However, Musk and his team at SpaceX proved them wrong by successfully launching and landing reusable rockets, drastically reducing the cost of space exploration. His success is a direct result of his willingness to challenge industry norms. Artists, musicians, and writers who achieve greatness also do so by breaking away from traditional methods. Pablo Picasso revolutionized art with Cubism, a style that was initially criticized for being too abstract and unconventional. Musicians like the Beatles experimented with new sounds and recording techniques that went against industry standards, yet they became some of the most influential artists in history. Those who dare to think differently in creative fields are the ones who leave lasting legacies. The pattern is clear. True success is not about fitting in or following rules. It is about questioning them and pushing beyond their limits. Every great innovator, leader, and creator who has changed the world did so by refusing to accept the norm. Those who challenge conventional wisdom, take risks, and explore uncharted territory are the ones who ultimately shape the future. In life, everyone faces a fundamental choice: to follow the path laid out by others or to carve their own way. Following is easy. It requires little risk, minimal responsibility, and the comfort of blending in. Leading, on the other hand, demands courage, vision, and the willingness to step into the unknown. While both paths have their place, those who truly make an impact are the ones who dare to lead, even when it is difficult. Many people choose to follow because it feels safe. Society conditions individuals to conform from an early age. Schools, workplaces, and even social groups often encourage obedience over originality. Following the rules, accepting the opinions of others, and staying within set boundaries provide a sense of security. However, by always following, one gives up control over their own destiny. They allow others to decide what is possible, never exploring their full potential. Leaders, on the other hand, take responsibility for shaping their own futures. They do not wait for permission to pursue their goals. They create their own opportunities. Instead of following trends, they set them. They are not afraid to go against popular opinion if they believe in a better way. Leaders question assumptions, challenge outdated ideas, and push boundaries, inspiring others to see the world differently. History is full of examples of people who chose to lead rather than follow. Thomas Edison did not accept the idea that gas lamps were the best source of light. He worked relentlessly until he created the electric light bulb. Amelia Earhart refused to accept the limitations placed on women in aviation and became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. These individuals could have accepted the status quo, but instead they led the way into new possibilities. Leadership does not always mean being in charge of a group or running a company. It starts with leading oneself. Personal leadership means making independent decisions, setting goals, and refusing to let fear dictate actions. It means being willing to take risks, even if there is a chance of failure. Those who lead themselves with discipline and confidence naturally inspire others to follow them. Many fear leadership because it comes with challenges. Leaders face criticism, resistance, setbacks. When someone dares to do something new, there will always be those who doubt or oppose them. However, great leaders understand that fear of failure should never outweigh the desire to make a difference. They know that every successful person, from entrepreneurs to artists to activists, had to push through obstacles to reach their goals. Following is not inherently bad, but it should be a choice, not a default. There are times when learning from others and following guidance is necessary for growth. However, at some point, everyone must decide whether they want to keep following or take charge of their own path. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who remain in the background is often a willingness to step into leadership when the moment calls for it. Some of the most influential leaders in history started as followers, but they made a choice to step forward. They realized that leadership is not about waiting for the perfect moment, it is about taking action despite uncertainty. They did not wait for approval or validation from others. They believed in their vision and moved forward with determination. Ultimately, the decision to follow or lead defines a person's future. Those who follow will always live within the limits set by others, while those who lead have the power to create, innovate, and inspire. The world is shaped by those who choose to take the lead, and the question remains, will you follow or will you lead? In a world that often encourages conformity, it is easy to forget that what makes you different is actually your greatest asset. Society tends to reward those who fit into established norms, but the people who truly make an impact are those who embrace their uniqueness. Whether in business, art, science, or personal relationships, the individuals who stand out are the ones who fully own their distinctive qualities. Your uniqueness is not a weakness, it is your greatest strength. Every person is born with a unique combination of talents, perspectives, and experiences. No two people think exactly alike, and that individuality is what allows for creativity, innovation, and progress. Imagine if every musician played the same style of music, if every writer told the same type of story, or if every inventor built the same devices. The world will be stagnant and uninspired. It is the differences between people that bring new ideas, fresh solutions, and exciting breakthroughs. Many of history's greatest minds were initially criticized for being different. Nikola Tesla was seen as eccentric, but his unconventional thinking led to revolutionary advancements in electricity. Frida Kahlo's unique artistic style set her apart from traditional painters, yet her work remains celebrated worldwide. Steve Jobs was often considered difficult and unorthodox, yet his vision changed technology forever. These individuals succeeded not by trying to fit in, but by embracing what made them different. The fear of standing out prevents many people from realizing their full potential. From a young age, individuals are often pressured to conform, whether it is dressing a certain way, thinking within societal norms, or choosing a conventional career path. However, trying too hard to fit in can suppress creativity and individuality. When people stop worrying about blending in and start focusing on what makes them special, they unlock their true power. Uniqueness is not just about talent, it is also about perspective. The way you see the world is shaped by your experiences, background, and personality. That perspective can lead to solutions and ideas that no one else has thought of. Businesses, for example, thrive on unique branding and innovative approaches. Entrepreneurs who bring fresh ideas to the table succeed because they are willing to think differently from their competitors. Your personal viewpoint is something no one else can replicate. It is your secret advantage. Beyond professional success, embracing uniqueness is essential for personal fulfillment. Pretending to be someone you are not just to gain approval can lead to frustration and unhappiness. People who embrace their true selves attract the right opportunities, build authentic relationships, and feel a deeper sense of purpose. Confidence in one's uniqueness leads to greater self-respect, which in turn inspires others to do the same. The world often tries to mold individuals into certain expectations, but progress comes from those who resist that pressure. Movements for social change, breakthroughs in science, and masterpieces in art have all emerged from people who refuse to conform. Being different does not mean being wrong, it means seeing things from a perspective that others may not yet understand. The greatest leaders and innovators have always been the ones who dare to be different. It is important to remember that being unique does not mean trying to be different for the sake of it. True uniqueness comes from authenticity. It is about fully embracing who you are rather than changing yourself to stand out artificially. When people live authentically, they inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of confidence and creativity in the world around them. At the core of every success story is someone who recognized that their uniqueness was not a flaw, but a gift. Those who embrace what sets them apart become pioneers, creators, and trailblazers. The world does not need more copies, it needs individuals who are bold enough to be themselves. The world has always been shaped by those who dare to think differently. Every major advancement, every groundbreaking idea, and every societal shift has come from individuals who refuse to accept things as they were. Original thinkers challenge the status quo, ask bold questions, and envision possibilities that others overlook. They are the inventors, leaders, and creators who push humanity forward. In a time when conformity is often encouraged, choosing to think independently is a rare and valuable trait. Original thinkers are not afraid to question existing ideas. They do not accept rules, traditions, or beliefs simply because they have been around for a long time. Instead, they analyze, experiment, and seek new solutions. Scientists like Galileo and Charles Darwin faced enormous resistance when they introduced ideas that went against the mainstream. Yet their willingness to challenge conventional wisdom changed the way humanity understands the world. True progress is only possible when people dare to question the norm. Creativity thrives in those who think differently. Some of the greatest artists, musicians, and writers in history stood out because they introduced new styles, perspectives, or techniques. Vincent van Gogh's bold use of color and brushwork was rejected during his lifetime, but today his work is celebrated worldwide. The Beatles transformed music by blending genres in ways no one had before. The ability to think beyond what already exists is what sets great creators apart from the rest. Innovation in business and technology depends on original thinkers. Many of the most successful companies today were founded by people who saw the world differently. Jeff Bezos imagined an online marketplace long before e-commerce was mainstream. Elon Musk believed electric cars could be the future when the industry dismissed them as impractical. These visionaries refused to follow the crowd and instead carved their own paths, proving that thinking differently leads to success. Unfortunately, many people hesitate to think originally because they fear rejection or criticism. Society often rewards those who follow established patterns, making it difficult for unconventional thinkers to be taken seriously. However, every major breakthrough was once considered strange or impossible. The airplane, the internet, and even the smartphone were once dismissed as unrealistic ideas. The world may resist change at first, but in time it always embraces those who push boundaries. Education and workplaces often prioritize memorization and repetition over creative problem solving. Many students are taught to find the right answer rather than explore multiple possibilities. This can discourage original thinking and make people afraid to take intellectual risks. However, true learning comes from curiosity and experimentation. Those who embrace curiosity and are willing to explore new ideas become the ones who drive progress in their fields. Being an original thinker does not mean rejecting all existing ideas, it means improving upon them. The best innovators build on what already exists but add their own unique perspective. They connect ideas from different disciplines, apply knowledge in unexpected ways, and challenge outdated assumptions. By combining critical thinking with creativity, they develop solutions that others could not see. The world is facing complex challenges that require fresh ideas and bold solutions. Climate change, technological ethics, and global health crisis cannot be solved by simply repeating past methods. Now more than ever, humanity needs individuals who can look at problems from new angles and develop innovative approaches. The willingness to think independently is not just valuable, it is essential for shaping a better future. Every person has the potential to be an original thinker. It starts with questioning assumptions, exploring new perspectives, and embracing one's own unique ideas. The world does not need more people who simply follow trends or repeat what has already been done. It needs individuals who dare to think for themselves, challenge limitations, and imagine new possibilities. The choice to be an original thinker is yours. You can follow the well-trodden path, accepting what already exists, or you can step forward and shape the future. Every great innovator, leader, and creator started by daring to think differently. The world does not change by those who conform, it evolves because of those who challenge, question, and reimagine what is possible. Embracing your uniqueness, pushing boundaries, and refusing to be limited by fear will set you apart. It may not always be easy, and there will be times when others doubt you, but history proves that the boldest ideas often face the greatest resistance before they are accepted. Stay committed to your vision, trust in your originality, and continue to push forward. The world needs more visionaries, problem solvers, and independent minds. Be the person who sees possibilities where others see obstacles. Be the voice that challenges outdated thinking. Be the leader who inspires change. Your thoughts, your ideas, and your perspective have the power to make a difference if you are brave enough to share them.